Shadow is one of the vital aspects of graphic designing. When you add shadow to your work professionally, it makes your work look popping, and also it makes it to stand out in the market, right? So there are several ways to add shadow to graphic works, but most of the times we find we designers adding shadow to our works in a wrong way. So in this video, I'm going to show you the best ways to add shadow to your project and make it look professional, right? So I'm going to use PixelLab for this tutorial, and I hope you follow it step by step, right? So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is probably import a shape. Okay, so I'm going to add a shadow to this shape, right? So I'm just going to play around with the shape, the edges of the shape, maybe reduce the size of it a little bit. Okay, so I think I'm okay with this shape, so I'll just tap on a check mark and I'll have the shape over here. Let me just put it at the middle like this, or even push it to the top like this. I'm going to change the background color so that the moment I start adding the shadow, you will see the effects. So let me just pick one color over here. Alright, so I'm going to go with white and maybe later on change it to red. Okay, so I have to change the color of the shape so that you can see it clearly. Okay, so let's assume the color of the shape is red. I'll just have to scroll down to shadow where I can see shadow, and I'll have to tap on it, right? And I'll enable it. Now this is the first mistake you probably have been doing. You can see that the shadow effect over here is deep, is black, and that's what you don't have to do, right? So let me just push it down so that you see clearly what I'm talking about. Okay, let's assume you made your shadow look like this. Alright, have a look at this. This isn't a shadow, right? This isn't a shadow. This is just something else that will make your work look like unprofessional. So you have to correct this. Now how do we correct this? This is what I'm going to show you right now. So let's select the shape again and let's go to the shadow, right? So if you are a UI designer and stuff, this probably should help you a lot, right? So you have to tap on a plus sign over here. Okay, so initially this is the position of the transparency. All right, so you have to position it down to, let's say, an area like this, meaning you are reducing the opacity of the shadow that is under the shape. So once you've done it like this, you tap on OK to check and see if it is looking well. Right, this is a perfect one. Okay, so what is the whole idea about this, or the idea behind doing it this way? Now the whole idea is for you to reduce the opacity of the shadow effect. If you make a shadow effect to look that kind of, you know, deep black under your work or as a shadow for your work, it doesn't make the work look professional, right? So one way to also go about this and make it look professional is to increase the blur radius, right? So I think when I increase it to 14, it also get a little bit effect on this work. So this is how it's going to look right now. Now I'm going to make a duplicate of this shape and I'm going to change it to, let's say, a cycle, right? And I'm going to reduce the size of it, tap on the check mark, and this is what I'll be having, right? You can see the shadow effect over here as well, and this is just a realistic and a perfect one, especially if you are a user interface designer, that's UI designer. You should probably take your shadow seriously, because if you use shadow just anyhow in your design, trust me, you're going to get the worst results ever. So you have to play around with shadow, and in most cases too, it depends on the background that you are using. So let me change the background color for this work and let's see how this is going to look. Right, so look at this. This is a red shapes on a red colored background, but look at how the shadow effect is still working over here. So this is something you have to incorporate into your designs. Don't just use shadows anyhow, apply them the best way. Especially don't forget with the opacity. Play around with the opacity, reduce it until you get a perfect sleeky look of your shadow. This is something that we graphic designers, we shouldn't play with, we shouldn't joke with. Another one is gradient, but I'll talk about gradient in another video probably. So this is something that I just want to share with you so that you pick it and use it. All right, it is not just alone watching the video, but when you practice it, that's when you get to realize the essence of using shadow, for that matter reducing the opacity of shadow under your works. And I hope you find this video helpful. If you do find it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and don't subscribe, turn on notification, and become part of this family. This is God's here from Serene Art, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bless up.